Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to paint green pears. I hope you enjoy the video. If you do, please give me a thumbs up. So here we go. I'm using a 9x12 canvas panel. A 1/4 inch flat brush is what I'm starting off with. And I've got my usual palette of water mixable oils. I have titanium white, cad yellow light, raw umber, alizarin crimson, raw sienna, sap green and ultramarine blue, and those are the colors I paint with almost all the time when I'm using water mixable oils. If I'm using acrylics, there's a wider variety of colors available right in the tube, so you will see a more varied palette when I'm using those. I've painted the panel with acrylic paint, and I was going to use it for something else, so it looks a little odd in that it was meant to be a vertical, but now I'm using it horizontally, but that doesn't matter. And I'm going to start off with a little alizarin and some raw sienna, and I'm just going to rough in a table. The middle of my painting is about here, so I'm going to just rough in the shape of a pear using raw sienna. I'll put one here. We could do I think that's pretty good. And I'm just mixing in raw sienna and some cad yellow light, and I'm just going to fill in those shapes. At this stage I'm just getting paint on the canvas, not necessarily thick paint, just colour on the canvas. I'm going to paint in a greenish background. Actually, I'm changing my brush out for a 3/4 inch flat, just because it'll make it a whole lot quicker. Now I've added some alizarin, some ultramarine blue into my sap green to give a bit of a dark area. I think the light is going to be coming from the right. Blend it in up here a little bit. And I'm going to add cad yellow light to that to get a greenish sort of yellow. Put in a sort of top of the bump. That's looking very pear-like in shape, I feel. We'll attempt that again. This will be darker on this side. And this will be I think we could add some raw sienna and make this one a bit more brownish. and I'm using raw umber as the deeper shadow. Whoops, I should have cleaned my brush off. I have a horrible habit of just carrying on painting and not worrying what's on my brush, using the same brush all the time. All right. I'm getting a bit lighter with that yellow. Okay. I'm using a little round, and I'm going to put a stalk on the... You know, I don't really like this stalk on this one, so I'm going to use a dry brush and just take it out. I really don't care for that entire shape when I think about it, so I'm going to get rid of it. I kind of just wanted just using a dry brush to get rid of the colour in the area that I don't want. And I'm going to put the bottom, I don't know what you call it, but you know there's like a little I have to look it up and I'll put it in the caption, but they have this sort of little leafy thing going on at the bottom of the pear. Now see, that is not such a good shape. See if I can find a brush to deal with that. Here we go. I know I'm taking off a bit of paint here. Okay, so I'm going to try putting that little tail bit on again, higher up. I think it's like 5, not 4, like a little star type thing that you get on the bottom. Like that. That's pretty good. And the other ones I'll actually make them on the bottom here. You don't actually see all of it maybe. Okay, so it's coming along, it's looking a little more pear-like, and we need more light to give it better shape. We need more shadow, and I'm going to start with the shadow, I think. But you know what, I'm going to add some more colour around here. Nothing's sort of set in stone. make this a little more yellow. And I'm going to put some white on to mix with the blue, and it will give me a sort of shady sort of thing going on. I could have planned this a little bit better, but I really had just been sitting down watching television, and I thought, you know, I've watched the box just about all day. I should paint a picture. And I hadn't really planned anything, so I thought I'll paint pears. I like painting pears. I've done them before. But I didn't sit down and think, okay, well, how will I do this? What will they look like? What shapes am I going to make? I didn't do any planning at all. I just give it a little shadow. I just decided to paint pears and wing it, I guess is what you'd say. And this is the way I paint. I tend to put paint on, and it might not be the colour I end up with. It might be something different altogether by the time I finished. But I find that the more layers of colour I get on, the better the final picture looks, the better the final painting looks, because all those colours peep through. It's probably something to do with the texture of the canvas. This is a canvas panel, which is a piece of cardboard that has canvas glued to it, the surface. And canvas is a woven material, woven fabric, and it has texture in and of itself, and the paint clings to those little woven lines, and you can never eradicate all of it. It will shine through in little tiny spots. I try to use all of my colours all over the canvas, because that makes it a cohesive it makes it cohesive in how it looks at the end. It looks like it's all one painting. Sometimes you look at somebody's painting and they've got a patch of colour, but they don't have it anywhere else in the painting, and that can make it look a little disjointed, in my opinion. I'm putting on ultramarine blue because I think the green doesn't really work for me. And it could be the day. I'm just not having a green day. I started out with green, but I kind of... it's not working for me today. So we'll see how the blue goes. I think that actually appeals to me better today. I'm obviously having a blue and yellow day rather than a green and brown day. I've decided it needs a little more blending, so I'm using this big kind of soft fluffy, I think it's 1 inch brush. Let me measure that. And I'm going to blend it all a bit more. I'm starting with the palest colours. And I don't mind if I have to do things over again. That's the way I paint. Now, it's not everybody's way of painting. People have different methods, different techniques, and you will find yours. I found mine. This is it. It's a little haphazard, but it's how I like to paint. And I I'm going to pick up some more raw umber. Now I've got down to the darkest area. Maybe a little alizarin along here. There. Just to give it a little punch. Okay. So I'm taking my 3/4 inch flat. I mostly paint with flats. I use rounds very sparingly, and usually and usually only the small rounds. I don't often use anything larger than that tiny round you saw earlier. So I'm going to mix titanium white with this yellowish green, and I'm going to put on some lights. See, I lost the stalk. I'll come in and put it in again. I feel the more layers of paint that I get on here, the nicer the finish. It looks like a painting. I don't like a watery watercolor type finish unless I'm painting in watercolors. When I'm painting in oils, I like a nice thick looking paint. One of these days I'll get some palette knives out and do another impasto, maybe impasto pears. What do you think? That's pretty good. Now I'm going to deepen my shadow again with a little. I like to mix up a bunch of things like sap green, a little blue, ultramarine blue, and some raw umber. I've got a powder brush. I'm sure you've seen me use this before if you've watched any of my videos, and I like it for just blending. Now I find that, to me, green pears do not look as speckled as the yellow ones. But I'm going to speckle these with the end of my brush. And I'm going to use my 1/4 inch flat and smooth out some of these. going to put some shadow underneath using raw umber. I think I made that way too shadowy. I'm going to mix in some more titanium and brighten these up just a little bit. I actually think that one should be brighter. I think I'll bring it out into the open a bit more. And this one too. I think that's a little gentler. I think that's actually not too bad. Put some darker sap green underneath. Okay, so I'm going to put my stems back in. One there, one there, with a little touch of cadmium light, yellow light. And I think I'm going to put in a couple of leaves, and I'm going to use my flat 1/4 inch to do that, and I'm mixing up sap, some cad yellow and a little alizarin crimson. Little ultramarine got in there too. Okay, I'm going to put a leaf out here. Just pressing and pulling. I'll put one in here. And we'll put a shadow in there. And we'll do like a shadow side with ultramarine. And some light on Okay. I'm going to put a little. Now I'm going to take a dry brush and I'm going to pull this shadow down a bit more. Make it look a little bit more realistic. And I really think that's not too bad. I mean, I could carry on messing around with it. That's me. I'm like that when I paint. And I really have to make myself put my brush down. But I think basically I've shown you how I paint pears. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give me a thumbs up if you did and hit the subscribe button. It's all free, but it lets YouTube know that you're enjoying my videos. So anyway, I'll think of something to paint in a couple of days, and I thank you very much for watching. You know what? I'm going to put in those little tiny doodads that I've forgotten what they're called again. There, that's better, I think. Now I'm done.